Hello, this is Colerain Township.
Some great things that are happening in your department as well, and that being the big one is the Jonrose project.
Yes.
It's probably one of the bigger projects that you have undertaken since your start here, and we should start with the history of where this was. Most people are very familiar that it's not the most desirable neighborhood, at least as we go on. It wasn't,
Sure.
and it soon will be.
I think so. So I've since I've started, I've been here for going on 2 years now. I've absolutely fallen in love with the neighborhood of Groesbeck. It certainly has trended in the wrong direction for the last decade or so. But as I drive through Groesbeck, I'm just absolutely enamored with the quality of the housing stock down there, the brick Cape Cods that are still houses that people want to be in, the neighborhoods that are close-knit, well-maintained.
Or that retro feel, that
Yes.
very 1950s, 60s feel.
Absolutely, and it's very affordable, great place for young families to get started, but it's fallen into disrepair, and I think that the revitalization of Groesbeck is something worth fighting for, and it's something that we absolutely are committed to. And you know, as I think about the revitalization of Groesbeck, I think about it in terms of sort of a three-pronged strategy. The first one being pretty major investments in public infrastructure. The roads down there are old. They were built when the subdivision was built, and since then they just age like every other piece of infrastructure that we have. So the roads and the sidewalks need attention. That's one thing that can be a part of the Groesbeck revitalization. The second thing is commercial investment, and I think that we're starting to see a little bit more of that. In particular, on the corner of Colerain and Galbraith, there used to be a BP station there. That station has been raised, and in its place will be another gas station, but one with a much more careful eye to the urban form, right? So we're gonna harden up the corner there with a stacked stone wall. Eventually, there's going to be much better landscaping, and it's going to make that major intersection much nicer to look at. And I think that that project, also another project, big commercial project that's happening down in Groesbeck, that's on the horizon at least, is the redevelopment of the old Builders First Source building, which is the old Western Home Center. So that's been in a long-term lease for a very long time, and so the owner hasn't really had much of an incentive to redevelop it because he's collecting rent. And
regardless,
right, and that's too bad for the neighborhood. But that lease is coming due soon, and I think that presents a major opportunity for redevelopment, and so I'm really excited about that. But the third prong is what we're here to talk about tonight, which is residential redevelopment. And when it comes to residential redevelopment, especially down in Jonrose, there was in the Jonrose area, there was this S-curve of Jonrose that comes right off of Colerain Avenue, and it was just the absolute center of crime and blight. In fact, we kind of referred to it as part of the axis of evil. I mean, there's a triangle with three sides, three corners. One of them was Jonrose, the other one was In Town Suites, and the third was Fireside Motel. And between those three properties, those three areas, they were generating an enormous amount of police and fire runs. And
obviously something you don't want to have as the main thing that anybody thinks about when they're thinking Colerain Township.
That's it, and it's holding back redevelopment. That crime is nobody wants to invest in an area where their property can be broken into, or their employees don't feel safe. So Jonrose, as one of the three corners of that axis of evil, if you will, was ready. Something had to happen there. I mean, people were being pulled out of those buildings on heroin overdoses. There were, I've done building inspections there where the buildings are full of water in the basement, and people are still living in these buildings. Kids are living in these buildings. This is 800 feet away from Struble Elementary, and it's just not in Colerain. That's not in anywhere. But
no, exactly.
Right? But we hold our residents, our business owners, our communities to a very high standard. That's what we expect, and that was absolutely subpar and unacceptable. So this Jonrose project is kind of the piece de resistance. It's the centerpiece of our efforts to eliminate crime and blight down there. And so there were 13 multifamily buildings on this multifamily and 1 or 2 single-family residences sprinkled in there. 13 of these buildings. We were able to, through aggressive code enforcement, through partnerships with the building department, partnerships with the police department, the health department, a very multi-agency mode of attack, we were able to leverage all of the resources and pinpoint them on this one terrible place. And as a result of that, we were able to demolish all 13 of those properties and the old pet hospital, which was another atrocious building.
Can't even imagine.
It was insane. It was like somebody just walked away on a Friday afternoon, turned the key, and never came back. Meanwhile, people are breaking in there. There's obviously a number of things that you would find at a veterinary clinic that were still there that people were stealing, and it was just, it ransacked. It was horrible. It was terrible. It's not there anymore. And in its place, and the 13 residential buildings place is going to be a 69-unit senior living facility. Right now, the status of the project is CMHA, the Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing Authority, owns 9 of the parcels. The Colerain Township Community Improvement Corporation owns 2 of the parcels. The Land Bank owns a parcel, and Bank of America owns 2 parcels. And what we're trying to do is consolidate all of those parcels into CMHA's hands, and then they will begin with the development of this what I perceive as a gem for that community.
Do you think that obviously we've gone into the process. Did you find it difficult to get them demolished? I mean, obviously a lot of people are going to probably try to fight tooth and nail, but obviously it got to a point where there's really nothing to fight for.
That's right. It's just dogged persistence. I mean, there was no deviation from our goal of fixing that problem because it means too much. It means too much for the neighborhood. It means too much for the larger community. And another partnership that I failed to mention was this was absolutely a public-private partnership. We partnered with a developer who is skilled in the acquisition and assembly of parcels. And so the developer was able to go to all of the individual landowners and say, we'll buy it from you. So we had, on one hand, we had very keen attention to the shortcomings when it comes to health, safety, building code, zoning code. And then on the other hand, you had a developer that was saying, let me allow you, landowner, to be part of this solution. Sure. Let me take this problem off of your hands. And they were very, very successful in doing that. And then it came to, as it relates to the demolition, moving Ohio forward, dollars paid for a great deal of the demolitions, and to be honest, that project would not have been possible but for the Moving Ohio Forward dollars that came from the state and through the Port Authority of Greater Cincinnati.
And as you were saying, which again, a great job on that, moving that forward. And you were saying that a number of people are still owning pieces of property to try to get it to funnel it into CMHA's hand. I'm sure that everybody's got that common goal. So I'm assuming that's moving a lot quicker than what it probably normally would.
Sure. I mean, it moves as quick as you demand it to move, right? I mean, everybody's busy. Everybody has 100 things going on, but when this whole project is really a case study, and when you make something important and you actively and aggressively pursue that important thing, you can get stuff done. I mean, you really can, and you can not just something that doesn't have a lot of meaning, but something that's very meaningful, and in fact is a catalytic project. I mean, I see this transformation as a catalytic project for Groesbeck. I mean, I think...
well, we are running low, and I want to give the last 5 minutes for some updates.
Sure.
Obviously, Jonrose is still going strong. Where are we in that project?
Sure. So last week, we completed the parcel assemblage. There were many properties that needed to be purchased and assembled and transitioned to just one owner. That was complicated very much by the fact that one of the properties was owned by the DEA and U.S. Marshals as a part of a seizure, a drug seizure. There was another building that had 2 mortgages and maybe a student loan lien on it. So so in order to get these properties, we had to have all of the mortgagors clear the liens. They had to release all of these liens, and so it's a very complex undertaking. We were able to finish all of that, and we now have the last 5 parcels are now under contract to be sold to CMHA.
Great.
This weekend, CMHA will be submitting its low-income housing tax credit application to their expediters, and it will be submitted for review by OFA next week, and we should hear by the end of May or early June whether or not that low-income housing tax credit application has been awarded, and that's very important because it's a key piece to the financing of the project.
That's what it sounds like, yeah.
But I don't know if we've shared on this program some of the renderings of the new project.
We haven't yet, no.
Okay, but well, the initial renderings have been modified in such a fantastic way. I mean, this building is going to look phenomenal. We now have the walking paths sort of laid out. We have the raised bed garden area sorted, and the building itself just looks phenomenal. So that's going to be an incredible amount of reinvestment in an area that could certainly use it. So.
It sounds like, again, we were like when we had talked the last time that you're working at taking neighborhoods and making them bright spots
That's
again,
right.
and what a great way to start that.
Yes, and let me tell you, just this building, a hole hasn't been dug yet for this building, right? We just assembled all of the properties, but since all the demolition, we have Mr. Jim Eckhoff has made major improvements on his building, which is on Jonrose. We have Cincinnati Mine and Machinery that's looking to expand their operation, which is a business that's been in Colerain since the 40s and continues to be a world leader in what they do. And then we have the Builder's First Source property that is looking to transition ownership for the first time in a very, very long time, and that will produce incredible opportunities for further redevelopment of Groesbeck and Jonrose, and that's in the medium term. In the short term, we'll be able to get rid of that nasty sign that's been abandoned for forever, screaming, disinvestment. Now that sign will come down in the near future, and brighter days are ahead for Groesbeck. Continued, and the school district is now continuing to explore its options for consolidating elementary schools at Struble Elementary on Jonrose, whereas before
it wasn't even in the question.
That was not right, and that wasn't. This project wasn't the only criteria that the school district took into consideration, but it certainly was. Certainly played a role.
Well, it has obviously played a larger role now that it's
right.
finally seeing that this is actually going to happen.
That's
it makes a more attractive beacon to join that area.
And it's exciting. I mean, that is exciting. That's exciting stuff.
It is exciting. Yeah. And as much as we always say, you and I could sit here and talk lot of investment and reinvestment in the Colerain corridor a lot. We're actually down to our bottom of our time. So we are definitely having you back because Dan will always say, hey, bring Jeff back on. That's great. Jeff, thank you for coming to tell us about all the great new news that's coming out.
It's my pleasure.
On the area, and
My
I
pleasure.
appreciate it. Of course, I want to thank all of you for joining us as well. This has been Colerain Communicator, because Colerain Township is always one step ahead. Thank you. Have a great evening.